All at once.
In post-Civil War Wyoming, Quentin Tarantino weaves a tense tapestry of violence in his 2015 Western thriller, The Hateful Eight. But before we go any further, be sure to like, subscribe, and stick to the end for a surprise. The movie predominantly takes place in Minnie's Haberdashery, a stagecoach lodge in Wyoming, against the backdrop of a harsh winter storm. This would serve to trap all the characters inside, but we first need to start at Chapter 1, Last Stage to Red Rock. In a blizzard, we are met with a stranded Major Marquess Warren, who has a pile of bounties with him, when suddenly John Ruth, the hangman's stagecoach, happens to pass by. Ruth, who is known for bringing in his bounties alive, is handcuffed to a villainous Daisy Domergue whose head is worth $10,000. Initially suspicious, Ruth demands Warren to surrender, and after the two men converse, he agrees to let Warren on board, especially after Warren reveals he has a personal letter from President Abraham Lincoln.
Letter from Lincoln to him. They shared a correspondence during the war.
They then encounter Chris Mannix, another man stranded in the snow. In desperate need, Mannix claims to be Red Rock's new sheriff, hoping to gain their trust. Ruth, yet again suspicious, requires both men to be handcuffed for a ride in his stagecoach in order to guarantee the safety of his soon-to-be collected bounty. Mannix, being the new sheriff, objects to this request, stating he will not enter his town looking like a fool. John Ruth comes to an agreement with Mannix and ultimately makes a treaty with Warren to protect each other's bounties. We then transition to Chapter 2, Son of a Gun. Upon arriving at Minnie's haberdashery, they're greeted by Bob, who claims Minnie is away visiting her mother. The passengers go inside while Bob and Warren put away the horses. Warren asks Bob about the situation with Minnie again. Bob further explains, but his story strikes Warren as odd since he knows Minnie, stating she never mentioned having a mother, and especially her rule of no Mexicans allowed, let alone having a Mexican run the haberdashery.
Minnie and Sweet Day went to visit her mother on the north side of the mountain.
What?
Yeah.
As everyone settles, we meet the rest of the haberdashery's occupants. Oswaldo Mowbray, who claims to be Red Rock's hangman, Joe Gage, who claims to be traveling to visit his mother, and General Sanford Smithers, an old Civil War vet. Tensions start to rise due to past associations and a violent blizzard. We now jump to Chapter 3, Minnie's haberdashery. Given the unusual circumstances, John Ruth is growing increasingly suspicious and takes everyone's guns. He's wary of someone getting near Daisy and thinks she may even be teamed up with one of the other occupants. Upon this, Mannix recognizes General Smithers, a notorious Confederate, which leads them to a discussion about the Battle of Baton Rouge where Smithers' son died.
Boy, oh boy, did my daddy talk about you.
Suddenly, O.B. Jackson, the coach driver, storms in the haberdashery, kicking down the door and appearing to have almost died from the dangerously cold blizzard. This would foreshadow later events. As we move to Chapter 4, Domergue's Got a Secret, we find Warren taunting Smithers about his son's death, revealing he was the one who killed him. Warren tells the story of how he captured the racist general's only son and continues to explain the horrors he put him through. This provokes Smithers, so he picks up the gun Warren placed and fires at him, but not before Warren shoots Smithers dead. Meanwhile, after drinking from the new pot of coffee, Ruth starts to vomit blood. Realizing he's been poisoned, he attacks Daisy thinking she was responsible. They both collapse. Ruth meets his demise and chaos ensues. When we get to Chapter 5, The Four Passengers, we are met with a flashback that reveals the events from earlier that day. We find out that Minnie's was overtaken by Daisy's brother Jody and his gang, the Jody Domingre gang. Their plan was to kill Ruth and rescue Daisy, so they killed everyone, including Minnie, and set up the scene for Ruth's arrival. Back in the present, Bob plays Silent Night on the piano, while Jody, who is still hidden in the cellar, awaits his signal to act. Ruth's poisoning threw the haberdashery into chaos, so Warren lined everybody up. He takes Mannix on his side, and they start questioning. Joe Gage finally confesses to poisoning the coffee, when out of nowhere, Jody shoots Warren in the genitals from underneath the floorboards. Gunfire erupts and many are killed. Mannix and Warren, both injured, are the last men standing. Finally, we approach Chapter 6, Black Man, White Hell. Bloody and in pain, the two men demand Jody to come out from beneath the floor. They briefly interrogate Jody and proceed to blow his head off. Realizing her plan has failed, Daisy offers Mannix a deal to release her in exchange for protection against Warren. As negotiations intensify, Mannix disregards Daisy and comes to an agreement with Warren. They decide to hang Daisy, fulfilling Ruth's intention of seeing her hang in Red Rock. The two unlikely allies, both severely wounded, are left contemplating their own imminent deaths as the film concludes. As the final shots ring out and the snowstorm rages on, Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight leaves audiences with a chilling reminder of the fragile nature of trust and the deep-seated animosities that can lurk beneath seemingly civil veneers. Hope you all liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe and share your favorite scene in comments to win an Amazon gift card. Click here for our most recent video.